Hello friends. In today's video, I am going to show you how we can integrate custom Excel VBA macros in IBP to customize master data template or planning view template based on custom requirements that we keep on facing on each different projects or engagements. So, just to start off with, Microsoft provide us with two specific different kinds of VBA hooks, which we need to enable them first. In order to do so, we have to go to the configuration setting, global configuration settings, wherein you will see IBP has provided us with two VBA hooks. So if you see in this parameter group plan new, there are two parameters, activate MD VBA hooks and activate VBA hooks. The first one is to activate custom VBA codes in master data sheets, whereas the second one is to activate custom VBA codes in planning templates. So unless and until I make these as optional, none of the planning view template or the master data sheet will ever recognize any custom VBA Excel code. So by default, the values were set to none, but since I am using VBA codes for this demo, so I have marked their value as optional. So in this value section, you can have two values, either optional or mandatory. If I set it as mandatory, then if the system doesn't see any custom VBA code, it won't allow the master data template or the planning view template to be loaded. Whereas if I put the value as optional, then if VBA code exists, then that will be respected, else the standard template will run. So that's why it is always recommended to set the value as optional. So this is a kind of this is a VBA code that I have written, and since this is not an session on how to write VBA code, so I won't be going into details of the programming or the syntax or the logic what I have used. But first I will show you one use of VBA macros to resequence your master data attributes. In order to do so, I will take you to the master data sheets where if you see the product master data type, here we could see all the available attributes that this MDT has. And the sequence of the attributes are primarily based on the day or the date for which it was created. So primarily, for example, custom attribute that we generally add to master data product master templates only come at the end because those are created later and we keep on adding them. But this view and sequence might not be useful to business or to planners because they want to see the product master in certain sequence. For example, let's say product ID followed by a description, followed by a unit of measurement, followed by a material type ID, and so on and so forth. So in many projects, I keep on getting this request primarily where simulation planning happens, where planner want to change master data. They want to have these attributes in certain sequence. Plus, they don't want to have all the attribute visible, which are not applicable to them. So that is what I'll be showing you how I have primarily designed and developed this VBA code and integrated it with the master data sheet. So this is the macro that I have written. So I will take you to the macro book. Wherein this is the macro book that contains the codes specific to them. So here if you see in this section, I in this function after MDT after refresh. So this function IBP MD after refresh is an SAP IBP provided function. So I am leveraging that same function where I am saying after the master data sheet is refreshed, what it should do is it should check if the product type is master data type is product, and if it is yes, then primarily what it will do is it will hide all these attributes that are from here to here, And apart from that, it will also resequence the attributes like product ID, product description, and so on. So this is something which I have already written and it is already active. So now once I go to the master data product and I do refresh, now you see I don't see .abc xyz classification or those blank attributes anymore. I am seeing it in a different sequence like product ID, product description, material type ID, product family, so on and so forth. And whatever attributes I don't need to see, simply using that macro, we have hidden those. So this is one of such cases wherein we can leverage Excel VBA macros to modify the standard behavior of IBP master data templates. Now, moving on, I'll be showing you one such use case examples of using VBA codes in planning view templates as well. So in here, I will take you to the planning view, which I have already opened it here. So this is one of the specific requirement for one of a client for which I have to do so. So if you see here in this settings, under formatting, by default, what we have selected is repeat row headers, use Microsoft Excel cell reference. And because of this, this is the standard view or the standard way I see the values. Now, the requirement was this value or this way of formatting is fine for business as long as they are using it for pivot and filtering. This really helps. But for certain purpose of reporting and viewing, this might look too cluttered. So what they had requested me was that for a reporting purpose, what they want to do is they want to basically see the attributes only whenever a new object is existing. For example, if you see row 5 is a new object and then the next new object is at row 19 because it is a different product. So they want that to happen in such a way that every time the new combination comes, only then the header item should be reflected, else all should be blank. And this cannot be achieved by default because if I remove those checkbox, it will come in the standard way, which also again will not fit their purpose. So what we had to do is they had a lot of templates available. So my objective was to create a macro that will be automatically opened every time someone opens Excel planning view. And what that macro will do is that macro will first, just give me a minute to open. So what the macro will do is this macro will first add a checkbox in a particular position to every sheet that doesn't have the checkbox, or if a sheet is open for the first time. Then based on that checkbox, if it is checked, then it will use my custom code to view the formatting on a reporting mode. And if it is unchecked, then it will show how the default is. So for that, I have to use a few modules, few class and functions, which I'm not going into those details as of now, but this is something you can use some Excel developer to develop quite easily, or you can learn it on your own. There's a lot of stuff available. Now, what this macro will do is what I'm going to show you. The moment I click refresh, the first thing the macro will do is add a checkbox with a name called format in this cell. Now, by default, if you see, I have coded in such a way that this is remains unchecked. So unchecked means the default view is applying. Now, if planner wants to have this view in the reporting format, all that they need to do is to click onto this check button. And see, based on this macro, the formatting got changed entirely. And they can save this and move that forward. The moment they think that they don't need this reporting view, all they need to do is to uncheck and refresh. And we are back to our normal position or normal formatting as we see in the standard IBP functionality. So This is something which I intend to cover as a first video where I wanted to show you the integration of custom VBA hooks with IBP and what could be some of the simple use cases. But the scope are endless and limitless. Only thing that we need to understand is while coding or putting Excel VBA macro, we need to understand that not every solution is answered by a VBA code. We should be using VBA code only when I cannot achieve that function either using key figure configuration or EPM formatting. After that, after checking all these options, even if it is not possible, then that's when we should try to use macros because it has to some extent some performance impact, that is true. But at the same time, there are different way to code a VBA, but we need to understand, which is for the experts to say, that we have to code it in an optimized way so that it does not have a clear-cut performance impact. So this is what I wanted to share for this week's video. Thanks a lot. Catch you all up in the next video soon.